everybody, and welcome back to my channel and to the first video actually of 2021. I can't think of a better way to start off the year with my first video than to do a cookie recipe, and not just any cookie recipe, but Paleo Samoa cookies. If you're not familiar with what Samoa cookies are, they're like a Girl Scout cookie, and they're basically caramel, coconut, and chocolate, which are all delicious, so together it's just like mwah, chef's kiss. So this recipe is actually one that I made a while back. I think it's maybe like a year and a half since I've made them. I remembered most of the big important things of how much I put in it, so I tried making it again, and I think they turned out fine. My family loves them. So let me go ahead and let you know how to make it. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get our dates pitted. So for this, 12 dates was the perfect amount. So I went ahead and just got all the little pits out. Those are not edible. We want them out. Even if you blend them, they will not blend. I just put them in a little glass container because we're going to pour some boiling water on top just to soften them up. I just poured the water till it covered the top, and then you're just going to want to put like a dish or a cloth on top to kind of trap the heat. That'll help it soften quicker so you don't have to wait as long. So I just kind of set that aside while I was getting everything else set up. I'd say 10 to 15 minutes, or just until they're soft. Depending on the brand of dates you get, some are harder and some of them are soft, so time can vary. We're gonna go ahead and just drain all that excess water out. I did end up setting that aside because I wasn't sure if I would need it later on, so you can go ahead and do that. If maybe you feel like it needs a little bit more liquid, you can just use the date water there. I went ahead and added it. We have this little Ninja that is the perfect size. Anytime I have to make date paste, I just use that. You can also use a blender or a food processor. That works as well, but this is just the perfect size. So I just put it in there, and then we're gonna put 1/4 cup of our coconut oil. And I like to melt this because it's just gonna go help it blend more smoothly in there than if you have it kind of in chunks. And then we're gonna go ahead and I'm just pulsing it. You'll wanna scrape down the sides to make sure everything gets blended well. And then you'll see the kind of paste it makes. It's almost like a whipped honey consistency, if you're familiar with that. So there's always gonna be like a tiny bit of lumps. It won't be like completely smooth, but just as long as you don't have chunks of date in there, you're good to go. And after that, I went ahead and transferred that into a large mixing bowl where we're gonna end up adding all the ingredients. So make sure it's big enough. We're gonna add that in there. I went ahead and added a teaspoon of vanilla and stirred that in. I would say go ahead and add that to the blender. You can go ahead and do that, and then it's just one less step to do. I just didn't really think of it. I don't know, I just added it in after. Then in a small bowl, I had 2 cups of our almond flour. I went ahead and added 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and then 1/8 teaspoon of salt, just to kind of enhance. We have a lot of sweetness in there, so that'll kind of cut the sweetness, but also enhance all the flavors of the cookie. So it just adds, so don't skip that part. And then we're just gonna stir those together. And why it's so important when you're baking stuff to mix the dry ingredients thoroughly is those little ingredients like the baking powder, baking soda. If you just kind of add them in and mix, they might stay a little bit more clumped. They won't disperse as evenly, so you can get a chunk of baking soda. So that's why we mix it there, because you don't have to worry about over mixing, and then it gets combined more evenly there. I just used a spoon. If you want, you could use a hand mixer. I just didn't want to get that out and dirty it up. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just lazy, I guess. But you can do that if you want to. And then we're gonna go ahead and add in our coconut flakes. I started with a cup. Again, I did not remember how much I put before, so I wanted to be safe. I put a cup in, stirred that all together, and I felt like it needed maybe just a tiny bit more, so I added in about probably 1/4 cup more. So the total will be 1 1/4 cups of coconut flakes. So once our batter is all mixed together, I just had this little scoop that I used. It's maybe 3 tablespoons. I just used that so that all my cookies would be even. You can also just kind of roll it to the size you want. You can make big ones, small ones, whatever size you want. I just kind of made medium-sized Samoa cookies, I'd say. The best method I found is to scoop out the amount, roll it into a nice ball, sit it on a silicone mat, press press it down, and then you'll take your fingers and just make the little circle there, and then you could just kind of use your hands to mold it. If it kind of breaks or isn't completely in a circle, just fix the outside. One thing I forgot to say, obviously, go ahead and get a cookie sheet out and line it or spray it. I just have these little baking mats, silicone mats that I use whenever I do any baking, so I just always have that on there. So once all your cookies are made in that little circle, if you made them the same size as mine, they're gonna go in the preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. For my oven, 12 minutes was perfect. You're just looking for nice like golden brown color on the outside. They'll feel a little bit soft, but you know, they always get firmer, especially because they're gonna go in the freezer. Ovens are so different. There's this one chocolate cake recipe I have that says like to bake it for 40 minutes. And in one of my ovens, 15 minutes was how much? That is a huge difference, because it would have burned, I remember, and then sometimes like if I put it in for like 25 minutes, it was dry and I realized I was just baking too long. So either the person who made that recipe likes burnt to a crisp cake, or their oven was just totally different. My oven cooked way hotter. So yeah, ovens vary so much. So always whenever I try out a new recipe, I will kind of watch every once in a while to make sure it's correct, because it can always vary a few minutes. Once our cookies are done, just let them cool on the pan for a little bit so it's not blazing hot, and then we can add it to the freezer. Just leave it in there for maybe like half an hour to an hour. You want them to be very cold and firm, so it makes it easier when it's dipping into the chocolate. I left it in overnight. That's why you'll see in the next clips I'm actually in my pajamas making it. You can go ahead and start working on the chocolate sauce. Again, guys, because I have not made this recipe, I did not know how much chocolate sauce to make for it. I always with recipes make too much chocolate sauce. So this time I was like, let me do 3 ounces of chocolate, and that's what I put in the pan. I put 1/4 cup of maple syrup and then 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. And I ended up not having enough chocolate sauce, and I had to make some more. 4 ounces would have been perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and put the correct amount. I'll write that down in the little description area where you can find the recipe. I'll put the correct amount so that you won't run out of chocolate at home. I knew I was like, I feel like this isn't gonna be enough chocolate. This is gonna be the one time where that's how much I would have needed. But alas, I did not go with that gut feeling, or gut. Anyway, we all know the drill. I've made chocolate sauce on this channel so many times. We're just gonna put all those ingredients in the pan, low heat, and then just kind of consistently stirring it. Don't leave it unstirred for too long. You don't want to burn it. So once they're all melted and combined, I went ahead and moved it over, got my cookies out, and then we are ready to dip. So the best way for the cookies that I found was go ahead and dip them in the chocolate. I kind of held the inside and the outside edge, dip it in about halfway, and I kind of twisted it around to get it up the edges a little bit. And then I'll just kind of shake off the excess. I even got my little spatula out just in case I needed to scrape off extra chocolate. It was a little thick, so I added a little bit of water there. Once they're all dipped, go ahead and drizzle on top. Drizzle consistency is very important. That is key to getting a pretty design on top. So you want maybe like pick up your spatula and see how it drizzles into the pan. At the beginning, my chocolate sauce was still too thick. This definitely was not my prettiest drizzling job, I will admit that. And I feel like it's all because of the consistency. So yeah, make sure it's nice and drizzable. I don't know if that's a word, if I just made that up right now, but anyway. Just add water till it's the consistency that you want, and then just kind of drizzle back and forth there. Pop them back in the freezer now, maybe 5-10 minutes, just for the chocolate to get hard. You will want to probably keep them in the freezer because that chocolate will get melty fast, and you don't really want to have it like all over your fingers. But you could keep it in the fridge if you eat cookies really fast. Anyway, yeah, so they're all done. I'll go ahead and pop up the picture on screen of the little finished cookies so you can see them close up. So pretty, and so delicious. So if you try these out, let me know how they turned out, how you liked them, if you've had the real Girl Scout cookies, how they compare. I don't think I have ever had real Girl Scout Samoa cookies. I don't know. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know you liked it. Comment below what other dessert recipes you'd like me to make, and I will definitely try to make those for you, get a video up. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. I post lots of baking videos. I do some hair and makeup too. Those are just all the things I love. Alright, and then I will see you guys in next week's video. Bye.